This video is sponsored by Video Blocks. How's it going, guys? Vincent here from thecreativedojo.net. Welcome to another video tutorial. Today's quick tip video, I just want to have a really quick laid back video where I talk about a new plugin that I've been using quite a lot called Magic Bullet Film. Now this is a relatively new plugin. I think a lot of people don't know about it because it's kind of new. It was released around January during the Magic Bullet Suite 12 release. And I've been using quite a lot recently on my films, on my video shoots, as well as even motion graphics stuff here. So it's a pretty cool plugin that I think you guys should know about. I know you guys are sick and tired of seeing a lot of plugins. I know a lot of you guys hate plugins. You guys will rebel against plugins. You want to use purely After Effects and no external plugins. But there's a lot of you guys out there that do care about this. And I think this is a pretty interesting one for those cinematographers out there as well as filmmakers, because this is a significant kind of alternative to the popular film convert plugin that everyone uses in Premiere and stuff like that. So first of all, what is Magic Bullet Film? Magic Bullet Film is a plugin that allows you to simulate the look of film in different film stocks. Now, again, this is a great alternative to film convert. Not quite as advanced, but a pretty good comparison, a pretty good alternative if you already have the Magic Bullet suite here. And this is very important if you're shooting on digital cameras and not film cameras. For example, DSLRs, we do a lot to kind of get this filmic look. We shoot, using anamorphic lenses. We use 24 frames per second. We shoot flat and grade a certain way to kind of get the cinematic look. But there's a lot of tiny little details in there in the look of film that you can't really, achieve very easily, without using the real deal here. Magic Bullet Films really makes this really easy because they essentially have a whole bunch of film stocks that they scanned in and pretty much allows you to kind of simulate the stock look by applying and using actual film. But if we turn on Magic Bullet Film, you can see that it looks significantly different. Aside from the color, which is, color graded differently here. You can see that the way things look, it's just a lot more cinematic. It's a lot more, natural and organic, as you can see. The way the shadows look, the way, the highlights look, the way, kind of the colors pop and how they don't pop, certain things like that, and the general aesthetics of it. There's also film grain on here, which will, give you a more organic looking film here. And, there's a lot of controls. So let's go and take a look at how to achieve this. Once again, this is the ungraded and then with film on. And as you can see, it does a lot of things with the highlights, the shadows, stuff like that, contrast levels, and stuff like that. It gives you a really nice organic look here. So let's go ahead and restart this. I'm going to go ahead and delete this and go ahead and apply an effect. We'll go to Magic Bullet Suite and apply Magic Bullet Film. And right off the bat, you need to decide what your footage is right now. So looking at this footage, as you can see, this was probably not shot flat. It's just regular digital video, maybe on a GoPro or maybe on some other camera rig here. But basically, it doesn't seem like it was shot flat. So we definitely don't want to set our footage to flat because it wasn't shot flat. And it definitely wasn't shot on log. I know that for sure. So we're going to set it to video. If your video was shot on a DSLR and it wasn't shot flat, on standard settings or something like that, definitely set your footage to video. If you were shooting an S-Log or something like that on the A7S or whatever, use the log. And if you're shooting flat with the DSLR, choose flat. I usually shoot flat or log here, so I'm going to choose video in this case. This shot was provided by Video Blocks. Great site for stock footage here. And the next thing we need to do is we need to select our negative stock as well as our print stock here. So, I like to usually just flip through all the different film stocks, take a look at which one I like best. Not really paying too much attention to, I guess, the hue of the colors per se, but more towards the general contrast, what it does to the highlights and shadows and stuff like that. So basically, I'm looking at mostly the luminance stuff, not necessarily the RGB stuff per se. So I'm just going to flick through and see some of the different film stocks here. And as you can see, each film stock gives you a completely different look and has a very natural kind of appeal to it, like this right here, looks a lot different from the ungraded version of it. And it has a lot of micro little details that you don't really notice until you kind of turn on and off here. So as you can see, I like to flip through all of them, or most of them anyways, until I see something that I like. And I think I'm gonna stick with maybe this one right here. Some of these can look kind of flat, which is kind of generally the look of film. It's not too saturated or anything like that, or too poppy. But we can always fix that later. And then we have our print stock, which is the actual print stock that the film is printed on. So we have a few options here. Flipping through these are pretty essential as well. I kind of like the Fujifilm 3510. Kind of gives it a nice pleasing look. And the reason why I say don't worry too much about the hue, the warmness, and all that stuff is because you can actually change that in Magic Bullet Film here. So we have the color temperature, which allows you to easily kind of just adjust things to make it a little bit cooler, make things a little bit warmer. I kind of like to keep the shot kind of in the cool. Kind of reminds me of like Jurassic Park or something like that. You can also play around with the tint here. Something like that. So you have pretty much control over the color temperature of things, similar to Camera Raw. Kind of wish they used Kelvins, but a slider works too. A lot of times these can kind of make your shots a little bit dark, so I usually kind of bump up the exposure just a little bit to kind of compensate for that. Something like that. I usually don't mess around with the contrast because I feel like if you color corrected your footage correctly, then Magic Bullet Film should do a great job at kind of giving you the correct contrast here. So I'm gonna keep it. I usually keep that at 0, or if I do modify, I keep it very, very subtle because I kind of like the default film look that it gives you here. Same with saturation here. If you kind of color corrected properly, the saturation should be kind of okay. A lot of times they may just kind of boost this up a little bit. Now skin tones I usually do mess around with a little bit because whenever you kind of apply film stocks in the film look to your videos, usually everything looks great. But your skin tones look kind of weird sometimes, so I do mess around with this. I highly do recommend messing around with the skin tone slider if you have, an interview shot or something like that. Definitely mess around with this. Now the vintage and modern slider is pretty much Mojo in one slider. So basically, if you turn it all the way to the right, it kind of gives you that teal, blue shadows, warm highlights look, kind of similar to the Hollywood film style right now, like Jurassic Park, Terminator Salvation, stuff like that. If you turn it all the way down to the left, the vintage, it gives you kind of that faded vintage look as if you're going back in the 80s or something like that. Both have its pros and cons. I usually keep it pretty subtle, so I'm around -20 to +20. I don't usually go over that. I'll just kind of keep it, I don't know, -10, if that makes any difference here. Grain, I feel like it adds a little bit too much grain sometimes. I usually put it to 25 or 15%. I'm going to say 15% in this case. And we also have an option to add a vignette, which is also very, very handy. I think in this shot, we don't really need a vignette here. And then, of course, we have the strength slider, which is essentially the opacity of this effect. So you can turn it down. You can blend it into your original shot as much as you want, similar to the opacity slider. And just like that, you kind of get this nice filmic cinematic look very easily using a single plugin. And it's a great alternative to Film Convert, which kind of gives you the same grain, kind of negative stock and stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool alternative here. So that's pretty cool. Let me just show you guys a few more shots so you can kind of see how nice this plugin can be here. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and apply again the Magic Bullet Film look here. I'll set it to video in this case, and set the grain down to 15%. That's way too much grain. And then we'll also go ahead and play around with the film stock here. As you can see, kind of gives it a different look. So for an example, I'm gonna go with maybe this one. Play around with the print stock here. Kind of like this one right here. We can play around with the color temperature. Maybe play around with the tint. And you can kind of create an interesting kind of look here. Maybe just add a little bit of contrast, and then we can maybe add a little bit of modern, maybe a little bit of vignette, and maybe, yeah, keep it like that. And as you can see, this is the before, this is the after. Not too bad with just a quick little plug-in here and kind of get that filmic look in here. And as you can see, we have this nice aerial shot of this lighthouse. Last shot, everything I've been doing has been pretty cool lately, but I kind of want to do a kind of a warm shot here. So again, I'm going to apply Magic Bullet Suite, apply Magic Bullet Film, and I'll select a video. And then I'll play around with the print stock here. I'm trying to go for this nice sunny feel to it. So I don't want to use a film stock that kind of pushes the highlights down too much here. Kind of like in this one right here. So I'm going to select the print stock just to kind of experiment which one looks a little bit better. Kind of like this first one here. I may want to add a little bit of contrast. Maybe 30. And then I'll kind of maybe bump up the exposure. Set to 0. We'll play around with the color temperature to kind of make it this nice, sunny. And we'll play around with the tint and make it a little bit more warm red to kind of make it like the sunset. And, we'll go and apply a little bit of vignette. And, let's see what the vintage and modern slider does here. Maybe something like this. This is the before, and this is the after. It kind of gives it that nice, flat, kind of log, filmic look. Very quickly using Magic Bullet film. Looks like it came straight out of House of Cards. Just kidding. But yeah, this is a pretty cool plugin. I just want to talk about it, kind of give awareness to it because this is a very cool plugin, and I think I've been using it a lot recently. Try it out on your motion graphics, try it out on your interviews, try it out on your short films. It's just a nice quick way to kind of add that filmic extra punch in there after you've color graded and color corrected your shots. This is just a nice way of doing it. And if you have the Magic Bullet Suite 12, you already have it, so might as well use it. So a pretty cool plugin, check it out. Before I go, I want to go ahead and give a quick thanks to our sponsors over at VideoBlocks for sponsoring today's video. VideoBlocks is a really neat website and nice resource for getting stock footage for your projects and films. They have tons of categories, including stock footage, stock elements, After Effects project files, flame, visual effects elements, milk elements, lower thirds, tons of stuff like that. It's really, really great. They have stuff ranging from 4K content to slow motion. They also have a really nice community where you can actually post and upload your own stock footage and get 100% of the sales from your stock footage. It's a pretty nice marketplace for filmmakers to kind of share their stock footage as well as receive and get stock footage. They also have a pretty cool subscription plan that allows you to pretty much download as much footage as you want during your subscription. So it's a pretty cool way to just grab footage. So it's extremely affordable. And I definitely recommend them in your short film. So whether you need a shot from a famous location like DC for an example, or you need some expensive aerial shots, VideoBlocks has you covered. So check it out. Link below in the description below. And thanks again to VideoBlocks for supplying the footage that you see in this video tutorial here. So all these shots were provided by VideoBlocks. It's pretty cool. And as you can see, they can be very, very handy whether you're doing VFX or filmmaking and stuff like that to get shots that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So check it out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this really quick demo tutorial. I know it's not really in-depth and very handy, informative tutorial, but it's definitely a really neat plugin to kind of explore and check out if you have time. That's pretty much it, guys. My name is Vincent Wynn from the Creative Dojo, and I'll see you guys next time.